Florida, the Sunshine State, one of the best kept secrets of the first half of the 20th century, is now one of the fastest growing states in the nation. With a population of over 19 million, Florida attracts close to 90 million visitors each year. Its success at attracting new residents and tourists, investment and new development has also brought with it heavy traffic and serious traffic problems for road users, particularly pedestrians. Florida is one of the worst states in the nation for pedestrian deaths, with 5 of the 6 most dangerous metro areas for walking in the nation. The annual cost of these crashes in Florida is almost $500 million. Pedestrians and drivers have a shared responsibility for the safety of crosswalks. Pedestrians must avoid stepping in front of moving vehicles, and drivers must yield them the right of way as soon as they place one step in the crosswalk. The NHTSA has found that both drivers and pedestrians are often at fault. To increase driver compliance of crosswalk law, a 3-pronged approach is necessary to reduce pedestrian fatalities and injuries. It consists of engineering interventions, education to inform and sensitize the general public, and finally, high-visibility police enforcement of pedestrian right-of-way laws to give credibility and support to engineering and educational interventions. High-visibility enforcement is best achieved by closely linking engineering, safety messages, and enforcement in a seamless way that ties the 3 elements together along basic themes. To increase driver yielding at crosswalks, in-street signs at crosswalks should be featured on education brochures and on the police information flyers. High-visibility enforcement is perhaps the most important of these 3 approaches because non-compliance by drivers, followed by strong consequences, is a very potent measure to teach drivers to observe traffic laws. A high-visibility enforcement campaign of crosswalk law gives a clear message that failure to observe pedestrian right-of-way laws will no longer be tolerated. Because most police agencies do not have a history of vigorously enforcing crosswalk laws, police should provide fair warning to drivers and the general public before launching its high-visibility enforcement operations. This can be achieved by a press release and a short warning phase using an information flyer for stop drivers. Step 1. Plan ahead. Know the law. Brief local prosecutors, magistrates, and judges. Command staff can accomplish this by showing them this video, copies of the printed information to be used, and the steps taken to provide fair warning to drivers and the general public before the citation waves begin. Conduct a short hands-on training program on a high-visibility pedestrian right-of-way. Step 2. The enforcement team. Police enforcement of crosswalk laws is best achieved with a 6-officer team. 1. A decoy pedestrian. 2. A spotter. The spotter can also act as a second decoy. 3. 2 officers on each end to flag non-yielding drivers. It is possible to use a 4-officer team to enforce in only one direction. Step 3. Cone placement. Cones are placed at a safe yielding distance measured from each end of the crosswalk. Cone placement distance is calculated using the signal timing formula.
Okay, that's good, 104.
Assuming no significant grade, the following table shows the cone placement distance based on vehicle speeds. If the targeted site is in a 30-mile-per-hour zone, the cone should be placed at 141 feet from the crosswalk line. Step 4. Decoy pedestrian. Decoys are necessary to ensure proper crossing procedure and to reduce downtime during operations. Decoys are taught to only step into the crosswalk when drivers are beyond the cone, and to step back if a driver makes no attempt to yield. Pedestrians should only proceed to cross when the driver clearly yields. At multi-lane roads, it is important to stop and check for oncoming vehicles before entering each lane. Thank drivers who yield. Step 5. The spotter. Spotters should be placed where they can see driver violations and the flaggers. Radio information on vehicles to flaggers. Keep a record of how many drivers failed to yield. Step 6. The flaggers. Place the crosswalk law enforcement operations sign at the flagging site to inform all drivers of the purpose of the operation. Wear a reflective vest. At crosswalks, Spotters, flaggers, and police officers should be able to observe driver violations. When speeding is a problem, speeding enforcement can be added to the operation. Step 7. Provide a police information flyer on the importance of observing crosswalk law. This flyer also promotes public buy-in. Step 8. Informing prosecutors, magistrates, and judges. When the enforcement waves begin, officers can fill in the pre-typed officer narrative form for citations to better inform prosecutors and magistrates. Or they can videograph violations for evidentiary purposes.
I like the sign they put up that informs everybody they're enforcing these crosswalks. That way everybody gets the message.